right, that's better. All right, so we're going to jump right into this. I'm going to Exodus today. Exodus 34th chapter, verses 29 through 35. I'm going to read through them. Exodus 34, 29 through 35. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with 2 tablets of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moses wished not the skin on his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh unto him. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moses talked with them, and afterward all the children of Israel came now, and gave them in commandment all the Lord had spoke unto him into Mount Sinai. And Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he had commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, the skin of Moses' face shone, and Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him. So, we've been talking about this, our series here, we've been talking about getting better, right? The whole series has been getting better. So if I want to use for a subject this morning is, act like you've been somewhere. Act like you've been somewhere. Now, this right here, this passage that I read, this is Moses. Remember, Moses went for 40 days and 40 nights. If you go back and you read right before that, Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. The Bible said Moses went without water. And we already know that if you go without water for about 3 days, you're going to die. So we know that this was spirit-induced, okay? Because the spirit can sustain you past that. So most people already look at this as a miracle. Some would say that was impossible. So that's why they say don't even believe these stories, right? Because it's humanly impossible. And then humanly, it is what? Impossible. He went 40 days without food. Well, 40 days without food is possible. I'm a living testament of that. I did that myself. I wrote a book about it. I know that was a shameless plug, right? But I did, right? I did that with myself. But I did not go without the water. But I did go 40 days without food myself. So I know that's humanly possible. But without water for 40 days, you cannot go more than about 3 days. They said 3 to 4 days without water before your body starts to shut down. Because we sweat it out and we excrete it out. Yes? So the Bible says he went without water and food for 40 days as he got into a state of fasting before the Lord. And the Lord, when he takes him up to Mount Sinai, is when he gives him the 10 commandments. That's when he goes. He goes to Mount Sinai to get the 10 commandments. Well, but when Moses was there, Moses goes up there and he's in such a state and in such relationship with God, God gives him the 10 commandments. He writes them merely with the finger of God. But what I want to put the emphasis is when Moses comes back is what I want to talk about. When Moses comes back, Moses is in such a state of being with God that he doesn't have to say anything. Just Moses' appearance changes the whole atmosphere. Just Moses walking around changes the whole atmosphere. I don't know about you, but I remember when I was a child, before my mother would take us places and we would go somewhere, she was like, look, when we go here, you need to act like you've been somewhere before. Maybe I was the only one, right? Your mom ever had that talk with you? Yeah. Act like you've been somewhere. What was she simply saying? Act like you have some sense, right? Act like you know what you're doing. Act like you actually been in this situation before. Meaning that you don't go in there and you act out of character. You don't do things you don't go in there and destroy this people's house. Because you have nice things yourself. You've been in this situation. You don't panic, right? You don't go in there and because they got a plate of cookies, you don't take all the cookies and put them in your pocket and walk out. Yes, we know those people, right? You don't go in there because they tell you can have some and you take it all. You don't go in there because they said help yourself, meaning that you take all of them. Because we know we have some people that we can take where? Nowhere, right? So some people we have to tell them, act like you've been somewhere, meaning that you do things within reason. So when Moses comes down because he's been somewhere. When Moses comes down, Moses doesn't have to necessarily put on an act because Moses has been with God himself. God's glory shows on Moses' face. Moses doesn't have to say anything. Moses has been somewhere. It's clear when you're with God and when you've been spending time with God in prayer, when you've been spending time before the face of God, when you've been travailing before God, it's clear you don't have to say a thing. People understand and know that you've been somewhere. You don't have to say a thing. Because you know what it is? Moses is shining so bright before men right now. Moses has to do what? The Bible said Moses has to put on a veil. Moses is so powerful when he comes from the Mount Sinai. Moses doesn't have to put on a veil to be around people. Because he's so close to God in this at this time. He's almost Jesus Christ in flesh. Can you imagine being so close to God at some point in time that when you walk around the earth, people cannot even be around you? See, some of our problem is it's not us. It's the God in us. It's not that people hate you. It's that people hate the God in you. And when you walking that close to God, and when you walking with God like that, it's that people hate you. They hate what you're about. Because it's the light that's shining out of you that's making them get it right. I don't know about you, but when you're sitting in darkness all your life, when you've been sitting in a dark room for a long time and somebody walk in and turn on the light, I don't know about you, but I grab my eyes. Because it takes a little while for me to adjust to the light. The light hurts my eyes. So what do you think it is when you walk in and you walking in light and you step into a dark room? It hurts their eyes, people. It's not about you, but it's the light that you're portraying that hurts their eyes. So what Moses does, Moses has to adjust himself. Because he knows that the light that he's showing is hurting their eyes. Moses didn't have to say a word. It was just Moses who he was. Moses did not say anything. Moses just walked down from the mountain and the people saw the light on Moses' face. And Moses had to wear a veil because the people couldn't stand to be around him. Some of us don't have to say a word. It's just how we walk. It's just how we talk. I don't have to say a word. Just walk into the place and people want to change. It's like, oh, here he come. What did I do? Do I make my presence make you feel uncomfortable? Why does my presence make you feel uncomfortable? Think about it. Then I have to check myself. Why is it that my presence don't make you feel uncomfortable? Because if sinners feel that comfortable around me, there's something wrong with me. Think about it. That's what Jesus did. Jesus didn't say. Jesus allowed his life to speak for him. So many of us got a lot to say, but our life looks like crap. Let your life do the talking. And when they're ready, they come to the light. Moths come to the flame. The flame don't seek the moth. See, a lot of us, we spend our time chasing them, and they should be coming to chase us. We are the what? We have the water. We have the life. The water and the life don't go chasing them that seek it. They come seeking us. And see, they can't come find us because we always moving around. Because we don't understand and know who we are. Act like you've been somewhere. When you act like you've been somewhere, you realize who you are. You don't have to go chase anything. They come to you. When you have the resource, you think the king walks around chasing people? No, the king has the resources. The king is the king. So people come to the king when they need things. The king doesn't chase them. So when Moses is coming out of this mountain, Moses is out of this mountain, Moses has to put a veil on so the people around him feels comfortable. And what I'm saying is simply this, is sometimes we actually veil or we cloak who we are to make people around us comfortable. And in some instances, that is the right thing to do. And Moses even does that. Why does Moses does that here? Because if Moses allowed exactly everything that he was at that particular time, the children of Israel couldn't even be around him. And therefore he could not deliver the 10 Commandments to them. Because there's a point where he comes down because he's so close to God, he's upset with them. Right? And God gets what? Upset with Moses because he's upset with them. And that's part of the reason why Moses himself, now think about it, isn't this interesting? As close as Moses was to God. Think about it now. Moses was almost God and robed in flesh himself when he came out of Mount Sinai. Yet he does not get to go to the promised land. Isn't that interesting? That tells me something. As close as we can be to God, we can still mess it up. So that tells me you cannot be so perfect. Don't think you can't still mess it up. This one saved business, always saved business, that's a lie from the pits of hell. No, it ain't no Bible for that. That eternal salvation, that's a bunch of junk. You can tell anybody, come talk to me, it's a bunch of junk. That's a daily walk. We always got to walk. We always got to watch our step. We all do. Because even the Bible says it like this. It said what? In that day there's going to be something that said, well, I cast out devils in your name and I prayed for people and we did healing in your name. And what he going to say? He said, walk away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. Is that what you want said about you? You dedicated all your life and you screwed it up right there at the end? That's bad. Look at Moses. Now, we know Moses made it on later because the Bible talks about him later on in the book of faith in Hebrews, right? It said that Moses and all them were there, but Moses missed the promised land. He didn't get to go because right at the end, he caught that attitude with the people. Yet Moses was right there at Mount Sinai next to God. So Moses, veils himself. So here then let's go ahead and talk about it. He says, he's in intimate communication with God for those 40 days and those 40 nights. He did not eat or drink. He had the power of God. He went without nourishment in his body. He goes on to say, he carries the credentials of God. He carries the credentials. When you act like you've been somewhere, you carry the credentials of confidence. You boast in the Lord. It ain't because you know it's not about you. Everything that you have is what? Through him. If you lose your connection, you have nothing. Everything is about your connection. So what do? You do everything in your power, within your power to do what? Always keep your connection. And once you understand that, you do everything you can to do what? To keep your connection. Because everything you are is tied to what? Your connection. So if I do everything I am and everything I'm going to be is tied to my connection, that means I'm going to do everything within my power, heavenly possible, to do what? Keep my connection. Think about it. But we don't even look at it like that. Act like you've been somewhere. So when you walk there, you walk it with confidence. Because I've been somewhere. I know what's going on already. I know how this thing ends. So why am I panicking when everybody else losing their head? We already know how it ends. We know the end of the book. And I know what? We win. He told me this was going to come. But you know what? We win. So that's why I can't listen to this. So he told me to do what? The just live by what? Faith. So why am I listening to all this other garbage? He told me that those who lead and those who rule this earth, they lead and rule. Why? Because I allowed them to lead and rule. So if Donald Trump win or Hillary win, one of them going to win. And whoever win, they win. Why? Because I allowed them to win. And I'm going to do what? I'm going to allow them to force them people to be what? Pushed to the foot of the cross. And now you as believers need to be what? In position. That's what we've been preaching all year long. Be in position. Because this thing is about to turn. It's about being in position. And the position is not about you. It's about them. But you get fringe benefits by being in position. And the position is the birthing position. There's fringe benefits to being there. I don't know about you, but I remember when we was having our baby, everybody's excited about having a baby, right? That's kind of how it goes. And I know what, when if you the midwife and you there having the baby, that person there having the baby and you the midwife, whatever the celebration is, everybody celebrates. Everybody gets a cigar, including the midwife, right? Yes? If they're handing out cake, the daddy's happy. Everybody gets cake, right? If they're handing out money, everybody gets money, right? It's a fringe benefit. Do you see what I'm getting at? Remember, favor. That's how it works. You ain't got to have it. You just got to be in position. And the position is not about you. It's about the job that you were sitting there to do. It's about the mission. Position is about the mission. That's what it's about. That's not mine. That was Jake's, right? So I'll make sure I give credit. But it is. It is about the mission, if you think about it. What are you there to do? And once you understand what you're there to do, you'll be put in the position to do it. Because it's never been about you. See, that's what we mess up. We keep thinking it's about us. It's not. And as soon as I got to the point that I realized it was not about me, that's when things started to turn around. And because it was not about me, I got fringe benefits along the way to take care of it. Then you end up taking off because it's about something greater than you. It's something about greater than you. Some of you are living for what? For your grandkids, right? You want to make sure that they have the best of the best. For me, I want to make sure that my daughter's taken care of. I can care less about me. I've had a great ride at the end of the day. Now, I saw this thing going around on Facebook the other day that somebody put down a list that said, it was a list of, it's like a bucket list. And it said, check off all the things that you've done. It's just like a little fun thing. It was like, check off all the things that you've done and share it with somebody else. I saw it yesterday. And I said, oh, this is interesting. So, you copy and you paste it and you put an X beside all the things you've done. I bet it was like 40 things. And I thought I said, I'd just do it. And I went through that list. And to my amazement, I bet I had did everything on that list with the exception of 3. And I'm not even 40 years old. And I was like, wow. By most people's account, I'm very blessed. And some of those things on that list, I thought, oh, you know what? I actually did that, didn't I? Oh, I actually had the opportunity to do that. As a man of color, I actually had the opportunity to do that before I was 40 years old. And if I'm blessed to live another 40, almost another 40 years, which if the Lord tarry, I will, I do double that. Because the Bible said what? The latter is greater than the former, right? So if the next 40 is greater than this, woo! Because I've had a great ride myself, I'm thinking. Because God has been good to me. It ain't been that I've been on the crystal stair, everything has been perfect. Because I've had my trials too. However, when you're riding with the king, you do walk on a bed of roses. It don't mean that people don't throw rocks here and now and then. You get hit upside the head, though. See, he makes your path straight. So the path is straight. I'm walking on a straight path. But it don't mean you don't get hit with the rocks, though. See, he didn't say that he didn't get hit with the rocks. He says what? It rains on the just as well as what? The unjust. Didn't say you won't go get in the rain, but he'll keep you what? Through the rain. So you often hear me say what? I'm going to be in the rain, but I have an umbrella. So I see it raining on everybody else. I just don't get wet. See, that's the differences, right? I see it. I'm out there in the rain with you. It's just like, ooh, okay. Okay. Ooh, boy, you kind of wet over there. Okay. Do you see the difference? You see the difference? And that's the godly protection. That's the hedge of protection that he provides. Because Satan cannot do nothing to us unless what? God allows. And if God allows, it's what? For the perfecting of us and for his glory. That's it. Look in the Bible. Every time something happened, calamity to people, God what? Allowed it, and it was for his what? His glory. It was only 2 ways. Either he was using it to perfect people, or he was allowing it for his glory. A couple times, the boy dies, right? And he didn't allow the boy to come in, and then said, well, if you would have been here, the boy wouldn't have been dead. But he came in, he said, what? This is for my what? My glory. He likes to boast in his power because he can. Stephen Curry likes shooting 3-pointers from about half court. Why? Because he can. Who else in the NBA shooting 3-pointers from half court and making them on a consistent basis? Nobody else. And if you and I could do it, we would do it too. Because nobody else is guarding anybody else out there. That's what makes him one of the best players in the NBA right now. If you can do it, you would too. And that's what God does, right? He boasts in his power. Because he's God like that. He can do that. Do you see what I'm saying? Act like you've been there. That's what he's telling us to do. Boast in me. And this is what he's doing. When Moses come down here, Moses has seen what God can do. He's communed with God. He's made his face to shine with honor. He says, serious godliness puts a luster upon a man's countenance such as commands esteem and affection. Have you seen some people that just walk in the room, they just change the room? They don't have to say anything. Some people just walk in the room and they command honor. Do y'all know those people? I'm working to be there. But some people don't have to say anything. They just walk in the room and you're just like, oh my goodness. I mean, some people I've seen that I don't even know physically, but they just walk in the room and you just be like, oh, you just feel like you should act different, right? This is how children of God should be. Command their respect when you walk into the room. I don't have to say it. It's about what I do, how I treat others. I'm learning one of the important things is tone, right? And I know I'm always not careful with my tone, but as God, prepares me and grows me into position, into leadership, I understand how important tone is with people, right? And, it seemed like all the I guess in terms of the most gracious and powerful people, it seemed like they just have this great tone, right? Most of us want to be screaming and yelling, and they'll just be like, hello. Right? You ever notice that? And they just be like, how are you doing? And you be like, you just waiting for this overwhelming voice, and it'd be like this little calm voice that comes out of them. And it's like what? Jesus speaks in this what? Still small voice. Every time we see in the Bible, we never notice Jesus never talks with this overpowering voice, does he? He always talks in what they say, a still calm voice. So that's why I always in my mind, we see these big pictures, they say, when we see these movies and things of God, he's always like, Earl Jones or whatever his name is, Earl Ray Jones or whatever his name is, he talks in this big, deep voice like Morgan Freeman. And we know that's baloney, right? Because that's something we came up with. But the Bible says he always talks in this still small voice. So he should be like, Sean, what are you doing? And he'd be like, Lord, is that you? Because it catches you off guard, but it gets your attention at the same time. It's a voice like no other. Because he said what? My sheep know my voice. Right? So then he goes on, he said, he teaches us in this, but this is what the thing is, he teaches Moses. After this, Moses learns what? Modesty and humility. See, when you walk in this kind of power, when you act like you've been somewhere, you understand modesty and humility. Because you're great and you can crush somebody, you understand that you probably shouldn't do it. Just because I can, don't mean I should. Like I told you, Steph Curry can shoot 3 pointers from half court all day, probably. But he understands that he just probably shouldn't. Why is he going to humiliate his opponent like that? If they up by 30, why is he going to keep doing that? It doesn't make sense, right? Humility. Do we have to connect our excellence obscured with a veil drawn not to convey them to make a fair show in the flesh? So, in the flesh, we have to make this fair show. So sometimes that's why some people, they kind of take back, or they step back, or they sit down. But when it's time to step up, I'll step up. I'll roar when I need to roar. And what he does is he does this to what? Make it bearable to the people. Because if you overwhelm it to the people, people won't hear you because you always what? Overwhelming to them. Because people get to a sense that they feel like they can't make it because they're like, well, you're so great. I never measure up to you. And that's never the intention. You don't ever want anybody to feel like, well, they're never going to measure up to you. As great as Michael Jordan is, we all know that he's a phenomenal basketball player. But one of the problems with him as being a phenomenal basketball player is that some people have never felt like they would never measure up to him, right? Playing for him. And part of that was because, some people felt like they would never put into work. But some of that was, if him as a coach was like, if he would pull back. Not that he would take away from being there, because the standard is the standard. Hear me and hear me well. The standard is the standard. But sometimes what you have to do is almost cloak it. And you gradually reveal things. As people get better, you give them more and more and more. And then at some point you reveal it, and now they see how far they've come. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a weightlifter, right? You start out, okay, I couldn't lift but 100 pounds. So we start out putting the weight on. I don't tell nobody how much they lifting. We put the weight on. You do that. A couple of months more, we put a little bit more on. You do that. The whole time what I'm constantly doing is I'm putting on more weight. But you don't know how much I'm putting on. All I'm telling you is I'm putting, all you know is I'm saying, lift it. That's what a good trainer do. A good trainer know how much to give you without tiring you out, but enough to push you. And that's what God does to us. He gives us enough to push us, but not enough to make us quit. That's what I'm talking about. Give them enough to bear it, but not to make them quit. Because if the goal is for me to lift 400 pounds, I'm not just going to throw her, oh, well, here's 400 pounds. It'll break your chest. But you give me some time, give me some effort, trust the plan, eat right, I can get you there. And this is what God's saying. Trust my plan, have faith. Faith is a plan. Trust my plan. Eat my word, because that's hearing by the word of God. That's how you grow. Trust me, while I put you through trials and tribulations, that's going to what? Grow your faith, grow your spiritual muscle. So that's the weight that's going to make you get better. And in time, I'm going to reveal, and look, now you're lifting that weight, and you didn't even know you was lifting it. Do you see what I'm saying? So after a while, what happens is, now you lifting it, and all of a sudden, you know what? You like Peter. You remember when Peter was walking out in the water, and what Peter do? He was walking, and all of a sudden Peter stopped. He wanted to look to the side. Oh God, I'm walking on the water. Ooh, oh Lord, how did I end up here? So what happened is when you were lifting that weight, all of a sudden you stop and I want to pee. Oh, how did this get on here? How am I supposed to be doing this? You see what I'm saying? And then what do? We psych ourselves out because we didn't told ourselves, because everybody around us told us, you know what? You don't supposed to be here. You don't supposed to act like this. That's why we cannot be stuck on people around us, and we have to do what? Focus on him, because he'll take us to people, heights and depths that we never been before, because see, people around us can't take us where they're not been. See, that's why we got to trust God, because God is trying to take us places that people around us have never been before. I can't take you to the White House if I've never been to the White House. How are you going to take me somewhere you've not been? Do you see what I'm saying? How are you going to tell me to lift that 400 or 500 pounds if you never lift 400 or 500 pounds in your life? That's the blind leading the blind. The Bible says, well, the blind leads the blind. They do what? They both fall in the ditch. So all I can do, if you don't know and I don't know, well, I know who do know. I got to at least trust God at that point. So what it is, we keep working. And then, like I said, at some point, I'm lifting this. And one day I said, look. Lift. And then I get up. After you get up, I say, woo, that was kind of heavy. What is it? I said, look at that. And you're looking at the weight on the bar. Well, how much was that? I don't know. Let's count it up. That was 400 pounds. Woo, I just did that. Yeah, you did. Now, all of a sudden, you instantly have a what? A confidence in that new ability. So now, if you just did 400 one time, what's 350 to you? You walk around boasting now. Oh, I did 400 one time, so I know I can do 350. Do you see what I'm saying? If I did 400 one time, I know I can do 300 by myself with no help. And now you walk around with a new confidence. And it's the same way with God. So act like you've been there. Because you've been there. You just didn't know you've been there. Act like you've been there. And this is what Moses did. Moses went to the mountain, and he had to do what? He had to cloak himself to be around people. Because he couldn't reveal everything he was, because people couldn't bear who he was around them. So when you witnessing to people, when you out here and about, sometimes it's not that you're taking back about yourself, but you're trying to make yourself tolerable around people until they get there. And when they get there, then you can reveal yourself in your full glory. God bless you all. I love you all. You take care. I know I've already extended my time. Time to go into the main service. Love you all. I ask you all continue to pray my strength in the Lord. Out there on Periscope and Facebook, I hope that you enjoyed this word on today. Act like you've been there. Many of you have been there. Many of you just don't know that you've been there. You know, God's put you in tremendous situations and tremendous places. And sometimes he has to reveal things to you slowly. Because if he revealed too much to you too soon, many of you will quit and you'll give up. It'll scare you. If he revealed his plan to you all at one time, many of you will just run away. Because, like, Lord, how am I going to get there? How am I going to do all of that? That's just way too much. But what God is slowly doing to you is he revealing his plan. So that's why he said what? Faith coming by hearing and hearing by the word of God. So he got to show you step by step, day by day. And if you trust the plan, you will get there in due season. Love you all. God bless you all. You continue to pray for me as I pray for you. See you all on tomorrow in the 10-minute prayer. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day and be blessed. Bye-bye.